Now, a Freedom of Information request by The Independent has revealed that there has been a six-fold increase over 10 years in British citizens handing in their passports and claiming citizenship elsewhere. Is there something wrong with this country? Why are so many people renouncing their citizenship? Are people ashamed to be British? Albion Mancona.
Mark, no, I don't think people are ashamed to be British. I did a bit of digging. And so it says here this Freedom of Information request found that it was just 868 people who in 2001 renounced their British citizenship. And there are 51 million Britons that hold a British passport. So I think this story is a storm in a teacup. Because actually, if you look at the statistics, yes, 30% sounds like a large rise when you're just talking about percentages. But when you look at the actual numbers, less than 1,000 out of 51 million people with a British passport is not something we need to be concerned about.
Well, you're right to spot some of the detail in that story. Sixfold sounds dramatic, but from a very small number. However, do you wonder whether patriotism in this country is on the wane? Do we love our country less than we used to?
I think certainly with the younger generation, I think we need to rediscover what patriotism means for millennials and people in Gen Z. You know, we don't necessarily get taught the national anthem when we're in school. We don't have this sense of what a British identity is kind of drilled into us from
And we're told our history is shameful.
Well, that too, but I think we need to have a more inclusive sense of what it means to be British and actually teach that to children, warts and all, the good, the bad and the ugly of British history, and use that to unite people rather than to divide people, as both people on either side of the culture war do when it comes to discussion about history. It's about one-upmanship. It's not actually trying to find things which are going to unite people, and I think that's a shame.
Hillary, in America, you are literally taught to love your country. I think we should do that here, and I think it would unite our communities and it would be the most inclusive thing you could do.
I think it would be a good idea to make people more aware of what being British is, because I'm not really entirely sure. I have to say, I'm British. I was born in Britain. My parents were born in Britain. I definitely feel English. I don't really know if I feel British. And I don't really know why I feel British, why I feel English. For me, it's if I hear Elgar or Vaughan Williams or Shakespeare or something like that, that makes me feel very English. But I think England is I don't think people are ashamed of being British, but I think maybe we're a little bit embarrassed now.
Well, yeah, because
we
I
are
think
the laughing stock of Europe.
Well, this is, the way that Britain's been characterised. During the pandemic, when we had one particular COVID variant, the Kent variant, they called us Plague Island. And then suddenly the Germans got this particular variant, and we weren't Plague Island anymore. But, the press, even here, were keen to talk the country down. I wonder whether that's seeping through into the population. And, of course, we were so guilty of this most outrageous crime, which is leaving the European Union.
Well, yeah, and I think, looking again at this data, actually, most of the people who are renouncing their British citizenship are doing it because they have to, because they've moved to a country where you're not allowed to have two citizenships. So it's because of Brexit. They don't want to give it up.
Well, yes, and Neil, I have a suspicion that the Remain classes in this country and most of the mainstream media just love talking the country down and consider this to be a terrible place.
I'm sure that's true. I just wish that a lot of them would give up British nationality and we could see the back of them. There are two very noisy residents of Southern California, I think, that we could get rid of in that way. I grew up in a world where we stood up for the national anthem at the end of cinema performances. That disappeared many
was that
decades ago.
Gone with the Wind or Brief Encounter?
No, it was before the talk. Before the talkies.
Charlie Chaplin.
Exactly. It was a black and white world then. But, we've also been fed a diet of declinism, haven't we?
Which is self-perpetuating.
Exactly. And this was the whole essence of Project Fear and the Remain case in the referendum. Brexit gives us a great opportunity to rediscover our greatness as a nation and faith in ourselves, to show that Britain can not just survive but prosper in the world outside the European Union. Of course, we haven't got a government that's capable of doing that because they've done absolutely nothing with Brexit since it was painfully achieved years too late in 2020. But Britain is still one of the great nations of the world. seventh largest economy in the world, and look at all the things that we've given the world over the years, the English language first and foremost amongst them, which is the lingua franca of the internet. The rule of law.
Parliamentary democracy.
Parliamentary democracy. We've played a big part in that. The abolition of slavery, for example, which we don't celebrate enough. And all these people who do talk us down need to be taken on, as GBNews does take them on. But who else does, apart from the Daily Mail?
Too right. Well, there you go. Well, God bless the Daily Mail and God bless GB News. Long may we prosper. What do you think? Do you still love your country, Mark, at gbnews.uk?